Who is the female narcissistic pervert? How does she operate? How does she attract you, keep you, and trap you? Today, I will tell you everything. I usually talk about how to understand and please women, but as an exception, today we will talk about how to understand an absolutely unbalanced and toxic woman. I am creating this material because I know that many of you men have become victims of such women, and it will be useful for you to understand exactly what happened if this is a past relationship and you are finding it difficult to recover. That is completely normal. You need explanations, you need to understand how you got here, and I will explain everything to you. Perhaps you are in such a relationship right now. You feel that something is wrong, but you cannot fully understand what it is, and you cannot break free. I am here to help you open your eyes and truly realize the mechanisms and dynamics of such relationships. My goal today is by no means to make diagnoses. It must be clearly understood that a perverse narcissist is a person suffering from a specific pathology, namely narcissistic personality disorder. We do not make diagnoses also because, in addition to the pathology itself, which is an integral part of the personality of such women, there are cases where women simply develop behavior typical of a perverse narcissist. And this behavior manifests itself at a specific moment, in a specific context, and with a specific person. I can already anticipate your thoughts. Don't use this as an excuse for her. Don't think that if she behaved that way at one moment, she'll be different at another. Her toxic behavior was, in part, provoked by you. Whatever happens, even if she changes and is different with someone else with you, everything will remain the same. Just accept it as a fact. As I've already said, the goal isn't to make a diagnosis, but to understand and break everything down. Therefore, the material will be extensive. If you need to jump to a specific part, you can use the timestamps. However, I would advise following the narrative order, as I've worked on it carefully to ensure everything is logical, understandable, and that you receive all the necessary elements. Also understand, in this breakdown, I focus specifically on women with narcissistic personality disorder. Of course, there are common traits with narcissistic men, but let's be honest, there are gender-specific characteristics and behaviors. A narcissistic woman will act in a specific way. She will have typically feminine behavioral patterns because she hunts men, you understand. Naturally, there are differences between how men and women do this, although if you have encountered a narcissistic man with narcissistic personality disorder, you will surely notice similarities. One more clarification. Yes, I am focusing on narcissistic women, but primarily in the context of romantic relationships. However, it's important to understand that they remain so in any other relationships as well. That is, your friend can also be a narcissistic pervert, or a work colleague. This can affect absolutely all possible types of connections, but here we will agree that I am building my narrative specifically around romantic relationships. Now that we've dealt with that, we can move on to the first part. As the title suggests, and as you've already guessed, the initial problem lies in narcissism, that is, in this girl's ego and self-esteem. She has a huge, gaping, pulsating, and eternally burning wound in the area of self-respect. She has enormous problems and terrifying gaps with this. You can say, many people have wounds, bruised egos, and self-esteem issues. Yes, absolutely. But the peculiarity of a perverse narcissist is that she does not consider herself responsible for her traumas and shortcomings at all. In other words, she sincerely believes that she is a victim. She is in this position and has no intention of leaving it. She has done nothing to deserve what happened to her. And wait, that's not all. Since she is not at fault for anything, she believes that others are to blame for everything. Therefore, it is others who must correct what she has gone through, atone for their guilt, and compensate for the damage she allegedly suffered and continues to suffer. And this is where it gets interesting. Being a victim who bears no responsibility for her condition, she will not bother to fill her own gaps. No, she won't do anything about it. Others have to do it. And as you understand, others don't necessarily do it naturally, because it's natural to do it. And as you understand, others don't necessarily do it naturally, because it's perfectly normal to take care of yourself first and then others. Therefore, she will use those around her to provide her with what she needs, to feed this abyss within her, to fill it as much as possible. And of course, as you might guess, it's a bottomless pit. This woman is a victim, often with delusions of persecution and paranoia. She is in absolute pursuit of recognition and attention from those around her. Constantly, all the time. She needs to be looked at, to be told she is doing well. She needs a huge amount of comfort and support. She desperately needs to be the center of attention. She demands it and feeds on it. The problem here, firstly, is that this need is taken to the extreme, and secondly, it is that she will use people to get all of this. Unfortunately, because she is a person fixated on her own problems, considering herself a victim, and the rest of the world executioners, she will have a catastrophic lack of empathy. One might even say that her compassion is an absolute zero. She is incapable of putting herself in your shoes, incapable of understanding you, incapable of accepting your point of view or realizing what you are feeling. She simply cannot understand that she is causing pain. She is not aware of it. She understands that she can influence others because she sees the result, but she is completely, absolutely unaware of the harm she causes. And this is very disturbing. This is a person who will destroy her surroundings, use them, squeeze them dry, without even realizing it. For her, this is normal. It is normal for her to be fed, normal for her to receive all this attention. It's all in a day's work. And here we come to more extreme behavior. To rise, gain recognition, and be above others, she will crush them. This is not a person who, figuratively speaking, will soar to the top. This is a person who will step over heads to get ahead. She will criticize everyone extensively and without exception. She will constantly belittle other people, including her loved ones, and especially her loved ones, by the way. In short, this is a person who can exhibit truly vile traits simply to show off, to be looked at and admired. This is, of course, confusing, because if everyone understood the essence of her behavior, no one would appreciate her, and yet she manages to gain favor. And all because she is a master manipulator. She masterfully plays the victim role, the one who manipulates no one for her own goals, the one who hurts no one while everyone else offends her. I think, in general terms, you've understood this archetype, huge trauma, the need to fill it, and a complete abdication of responsibility. She isn't going to do anything about it. She believes it's not her concern at all, because she is an absolute victim. By the way, she won't do anything, and she certainly won't engage in self-analysis or question her actions. Agree, everything is frozen. There are very few shades of gray here. For a perverted narcissist, many things are divided only into black and white. The roles, both hers and those of the people around her, are rigidly fixed. Nothing changes, especially within herself. Nothing can and should change. She is not responsible for what happens to her. As a result, we get a person who is completely dependent on others, dependent on the opinions of others, absolutely and entirely. This is a person without any autonomy, who does nothing on their own, does not develop, remains floundering in their own, forgive me, shit, we're among ourselves here, speaking frankly, and waits for others to pull her out of it instead of her. Consequently, this makes her a completely infantile personality. No independence, no initiative, nothing, because she is 100% victim, completely dependent on others, and yet she will never show this dependence to those around her. On the contrary, she will make them believe that they depend on her. Oh yes, she is incredibly adept at hiding her need for others, although in reality, without you, she would be nothing. I'll add one more thing that is sometimes very difficult to grasp. From here on, things will be quite harsh, and you'll probably think, no way, how can anyone function like that? But here's what you need to clearly understand. Such people are completely unaware of their behavioral mechanisms. She doesn't understand what's happening at all.